This is 5-minute climate weather reports, where we bring you concise analysis of extreme weather events and their link to climate change. As we look out of our windows and witness the seasonal shift, it's the perfect time to delve into the performance of the monsoon in this season. To unpack that, we're joined by Dr Akshay Deoras, meteorologist and research scientist at University of Reading, who will guide us through the monsoon's journey so far this year, breaking down the weather complexities, making it accessible to all. Sir, a very warm welcome to our podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be joining you guys today.
So, Dr. Akshay, perhaps we can start with you describing how the monsoon performance has been so far in the season.
It has been a roller coaster for sure. If you just see what happened in June, that the monsoon's onset over Kerala was delayed, and then the further progression was affected because it was late. But we had this, massive jump that the monsoon made from around 20th of June, which caused it to which caused it to cover entire India a bit before the time. But June's rainfall was affected, and then in July, most of the country got good rainfall. We know why that happened. But August was a disaster. Like, if you just see what has happened in the month, India has seen the lowest rainfall on record since 1901. It has been a really hot month. And the statistics that we are getting from different states, for example, Gujarat. So, Gujarat has just got about 10% of the average rain in August. And when you just look at maps, you see a big pattern there. Like, the western half of the country has just got very less rain or no rain at all. And then you just have rainfall activities focused over eastern India. So it's just a big roller coaster, and it's not a good thing.
Could you also explain how global warming is impacting Indian monsoon rainfall?
So global warming or climate change is not affecting the monsoon's onset, progression, and withdrawal dates. That's what we know for sure. But it is affecting the variability of the monsoon. So it's making the monsoon more and more variable, which means that whenever you get a wet spell, you would get that in a very enhanced mode. So that would increase the chance of getting extreme rainfall events. And whenever you get break monsoon or reduction in rain, so that phase is then going to become really intense. And to an extent, we have seen this happening this year. In terms of the role of global warming and extreme rainfall events, so we all know what happened in July and in August in some parts of the country like Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand. And in particular, the extreme rainfall event that happened in August at some places like Rishikesh. So that was really intense because that place got over 400 millimeter rainfall in a day, and that's a huge amount. And we do think that this is not possible without the role of global warming.
And so, can you simplify the science behind this?
As we continue to dump more and more greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, and mainly carbon dioxide. So, what that would do is it would increase the capacity of the air to hold more and more water vapor, which means that it's going to make air more and more thirsty. So, whenever favorable weather conditions happen, then in that situation, the air will just release a lot of water vapor and a lot more water vapor than it must have done in the past, simply because of the impact of global warming. So that's what we know, that global warming would increase the intensity of extreme weather events, and for us, it's the extreme rainfall events.
We also know that El Nino is brewing in the Pacific Ocean. Can you explain more on the impact of El Nino on monsoon performance?
So the obvious impact of El Nino on the Indian southwest monsoon season, that is June to September season, is that it tends to reduce rainfall. It tends to increase break monsoons, or these events when the rainfall over most of the country gets suppressed. And this is basically what we are seeing. So in June, the impact of El Nino was there, but it was not that strong because it takes time for things to change. In July, we expected El Nino's impact, but that was not there because it was still in this evolution phase. But it came back in August and it hit the monsoon very hard, which is why we got this extended dry spell, an extended break monsoon period over the last couple of days.
So, is global warming making the effect of El Nino worse?
Because of additional warming and given the fact that it's so hot across the Pacific Ocean, so there is a possibility that El Nino events are getting amplified. And if we look at future simulations, there is still no clear consensus as to what would happen to El Nino or La Nina because of global warming. But I think the consensus there is like a bit of consensus there is that it would just go on increasing the amplitude of El Nino events. That's what we know from research.
Could you also shed some light on how Monsoon 2023 will finally perform, and what is your take on that?
In September 2019, we had this positive Indian Ocean dipole, and it really played a big role in increasing rainfall across the country. But we don't expect it to happen this year, and that is why El Nino will be a dominant it will have its dominant control over the monsoon, and that's why there is a very high chance, or almost 100% chance, that all India rainfall will be below 100%.
So, Dr. Actually, last and final question. If you can also explain the growing impact of climate change on monsoon patterns and their behavior.
As we continue to emit more and more greenhouse gases and increase the temperature, so that would tend to increase the rainfall, like the all India rainfall that we get between June and September. And like I said before, the extreme weather events and extreme rainfall events, so their frequency is also expected to go up. So that's what we know right now.
Thank you so much, Dr. Akshay, for joining us in today's episode and helping us break down the complex science behind this year's monsoon performance. To all our listeners, thank you so much for joining us on this journey through the monsoon, climate change, and the ever-evolving weather patterns in India. Until next time.